We love you, Nick. How's it going?
It's going well. How about you guys?
Not too bad. We
Fantastic.
were just talking oil here a little bit, talking how this market just seems to go up no matter what. If Greece comes out with bad news, well, they'll sell it off for an hour maybe, but then they'll start to buy it back up. Greece comes out with good news, oh, we'll just buy everything.
Yep, yep. Buy, buy, buy. Right? I heard you say that earlier today. I don't know if it's buy, buy, buy. It's buy, buy, buy for a little bit and then sell off.
Yeah, we're still in the range. This year's
The,
been kind of the range trading, and we are up here at resistance. So, are you still respecting this resistance up here at the 2060 area?
I am, and I think we've been really range bound for the last couple of weeks, and it works out for iron condors and sellers the best because to lay a layer on top of it is the elevated VIX, so it makes it easier to play the range because the premiums are higher, so I can step out further from trouble by stepping away from current price and still get a decent premium. So yeah, it's been pretty good. And a good way of ranging it is to just pick a few tickers that you trust are not going to swing too wildly on a headline, like earnings. So during the earnings season, I concentrate on the indices like the SPX and the RUT and the NDX rather than to play with the names. And when I do play the names, it's just for a lottery ticket and a small premium to buy some sort of a spread and see if I can guess it right. But it is gambling because you don't know how the markets are going to react to it.
So, what tickers are you looking at here right now, Nick?
I'm still range bounding the markets. So on the SPX, I think we have good support, and we also have some decent resistance towards the recent highs in the SPX, for example. And on the small caps, there are some exuberance in there, trying to get them to 1250 this week. I think technically it was driven that trade, but I also think that technically it was broken yesterday, so I'm not sure if they're going to try again and how much luck they're going to have into getting to 1250 this week on the RUT, for example. So if somebody's brave enough or have enough longs they want to hedge and they want to try to short it via a credit call spread, that would be a good one to play. Tesla, I think, reports soon enough, and that'd be a fun.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, so that would be a fun lottery ticket. I have not decided whether I want to vote up or down, but I usually look where the market wants to take it, and I'll vote with them.
Have you looked
I'll
at the straddle yet on Tesla?
I did not. How much is it? I did not price.
I'll go price it right now while you're talking about it.
Yeah, and I'll look at the open interest to tell us to see how they're lined up.
I was just
Looks like,
looking.
theoretically, not theoretically, in spirit, it held up really well in the face of sell-off, right? When markets were falling off a cliff, so to speak, last week, it held well. So that was pretty surprising to me. And even in falling oil. So in theory, cheaper oil should be bad news for Tesla. I think if there is going to be bad news for Tesla, it'll be on the factory side because last time I think last time they reported, they mentioned the fact that they chose the factory to be there because of how important it is to get it done on time rather than not the money. They had better deals from other cities, but they chose that city because they assured them they're going to be done on time. So if there's a hiccup there, that could jeopardize the future of Tesla because so much is riding on it.
Looks like about 18, $19 there for the
That's pretty steep.
straddle.
So I will probably take a debit spread of some sorts and flip a coin and guess the direction. Looks like it's got some decent support, but I may want to play a real lottery ticket for a real breakdown or a real pop. I haven't decided, but I'll let you know via Twitter. I'll flip a coin and let you know. Speaking of Twitter, did you buy it? Did you buy it? Did you buy it?
I have it in my investment account, but no, I didn't buy it for a trade though. I've had
I
it in my
told you,
investment account
plug your
for a while.
nose and buy it. Then
Yeah,
you
well, you know what? I actually did. You know what? How crazy and dumb I am. So, anyways, it started pulling back. So, like on the initial report, and a lot of people don't realize that on the initial report, when Twitter reported, it went down to 37 bucks. It fell off 10% on that initial report in the first 5 minutes. I bought it 38.30 on the pullback because I've wanted it there. But of course, the scalper blood in me quickly turns around and sells it for, I got a point. I was like, in like 10 seconds, I was like, get out quick. And then literally like 5 minutes later, it's trading higher. I was like, why did I just, got to get rid of that scalper blood.
Yeah, hindsight, it's easy.
Yeah,
But you're a pro. You don't need to. I don't need to tell you that hindsight will drive you crazy. If
drives
you
me
did the
crazy
right
all
thing,
the time.
if you did the right thing, looking back, and it wasn't the perfect thing, next time you get to the same situation, you should do the right thing again. You shouldn't say, "Uh-oh, last time I did the right thing, I got screwed, so I'm going to do the opposite this time." Then you get screwed again. So, doing the right thing, although not perfect, it needs to be done every time.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you can do the right thing, or even if you're taking your profits too soon. I always take my profits too soon. That's always been my problem.
So
I
so
guess
we're
it's good to take the profits though,
So,
because
so we're
sometimes you
up.
can
We're,
take
we're so we're up this morning, and is it? I missed it. Is it the headline that there's a Greek kick the can deal or something? Extension of
6 month potential extension here proposed for
potential.
Greeks.
Well,
Yeah, kick the
head,
can down the road. Exactly, exactly
the
that.
the headline I heard, I read, and I interpreted is the fact that now the Greek situation got more complicated because now they have the Russians and the Chinese potentially lending them money, or so the Greek government wants. It said that wants money, or it has to go to Plan B, and since there's no deal, then it has to go to Plan B, and Plan B would take money from the U.S. Russia or China, and I don't think the U.S. is going to muddle the ECB affairs. So it's Russia or China. So there's an opening for Putin to actually put another finger in the Middle East area other than Syria by lending them money somehow. And he will also prove that Russia is still on its feet. So that would be interesting. I don't know how the markets will take that.
Yeah, well, they're taking it as a positive here today, so here we are. Because we
Thi-
blasted off when that headline broke, we were only up two S&P futures, and we actually that's when we made the high. So we blasted off like 15 S&P futures points right on that headline.
Yeah, it's a combination of that headline and the fact what it does also it eliminates the possibility of a negative headline which was imminent on Wednesday because I think that was when they were going to have their meeting and they would have come out and say no deal with Greece. So it's a relief pop. How much legs does it have? I don't know. I'm not chasing it. We are still trading sentiment. This does not change the macro, obviously, right? So the macro stays the same. So what are you chasing now that wasn't here yesterday? You're just chasing the elimination of a possible negative. So, that could give you some legs for a few days, but I wouldn't chase it big time.
Greece worries me because they're starting to bring this discussion into the public forum. I heard a few, maybe it was, I can't remember who it was. It was one of the Greece finance ministers, I think, was coming out, and he was saying, if there's a Grexit, this is going to be absolutely horrible for the euro. And they're trying to make it more like if you don't take care of us, then you guys are all going to be in major trouble. And I get really fearful when I see headlines come out like that because that almost is, a form
Yeah,
of overhype.
the gloves are off, kind of, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they're talking the big things, but I think it's yeah, people are afraid that if a Greek exits, then that opens the door for, say, Spain. But I don't think it's apples to apples. First of all, the people that bought the Greek debt this time around knew what they were buying, as opposed to the pre-08 crisis. Nobody, quote, knew that the loans were bad or potentially bad or tied to frothy assets. This time around, if you bought Greek debt, you knew what you're getting into. So the repercussion is not that bad from the debt side. From the spirit side, the Greek debt is different than the Spain debt, in my opinion, just because of sheer size. So the ECB will be talking a different language when it comes to somebody who owes them more money than that. So I don't know, but it's still a headline, and you just can't trade headlines. You establish your trades based on macro, and then you manage them if you need to, based to adjust to the headlines. Because if the macro didn't change, then your trading should stay the same. Your trades should stay the same, and unless you are getting pushed or pressured temporarily by these movements based on sentiment.
Nick, let's go back into some individual stocks here, and you talked, how you might potentially play Tesla. We do have a few other earnings plays this week. Do you play Cisco ever?
Never.
So you like the big $100 stocks and stuff.
Well, it's old tech, I guess.
Yeah,
It's boring and it doesn't have enough premium for me to do it, but I'll
right.
look at it. I'll look at it for us, no
What's your
problem.
list? Like your top 10 stocks? What's the top 10 stocks you trade?
I have all the biggies. You got Apple, the two Googles, Priceline. Priceline is a good one. I went long it during the red days. Yes, not yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Actually, on Friday it was red also.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Priceline was up 1%, so that's good news. So I went long it via a very simple debit call spread in the 1040 area. So all I need is just a little bump up. And as a matter of fact, it's up like 16, 15% last time I checked on it. But this is just to go along it. I look at Amazon, and it has a decision to make soon. Baba, it's a long-term hold, kind of like Twitter, and go through the lockup expiration period. Netflix, Baidu, Facebook, Twitter, Tesla, even GoPro. I played for a little bit, but now it's a no touch. And
Why is it a no touch now?
because it has a big decision to make with GoPro. I've heard several people starting to talk about it, like even Guy Adami. These are high-profile people as far as soapboxes are concerned. And if it loses like 42 and a half, or it gets to like the 41 area, 30 is not out of the question, technically speaking. And from there, people will start saying, "Oh, this is like a whatever that other camera, the flip phone, the flip camera thingy." So it was a fad. I mean, they're decent cameras. I have a couple of them, but they're not like, "Oh my gosh, it's the best camera ever." It just serves a purpose. If I need a camera that I don't have to worry about water and all of that, yeah, I bring it. But if I need a camera to take pictures, I use my phone.
And what about barriers to entry here? I'm always concerned about. Like, is it really that many barriers to entry that there can't be a competing company come out with a similar or better product?
They're already out there, and they're better cameras. So it's not the barriers to entry; they're already there. They just don't have the same name and the same recognition from the retail customer. They're there. I told you before. I think a friend of mine has a drone with a camera on it that just blows it out of them. I mean, it's insane, and it's just hovering like a mile up in the air, and it takes
That's
cameras.
cool.
And it zooms and it tilts and it pans. So the GoPro that I have two, and none of them have zoom, and none of them have a viewfinder. So not a convenient camera to use. But if you're on your motorcycle, or if you want to strap it onto your bicycle, yeah, it's pretty cool, or your surfboard. But other than that, it's not the best camera to use. That's my opinion. But so the GoPro story is a story, whereas the Baba is not a story. It's there. It just needs to withstand this pressure point. The Amazon is not a story. It's there. It's a behemoth growth company that never ends growing, and it's got its finger in everybody's pulse. The
Yeah.
Priceline is not a story. It's a company that prints money. It just needs to withstand this pressure. So the GoPro is a story you need to sell people on. It needs to develop. The way it is, it's overpriced. So where is the story? Nobody's talking about the fact that it's a media company now, or whatever they were trying to sell it to be.
That's
Like
what
a YouTube killer is what they sold it as.
that's what I was saying, that their strength was going to have to come through with GoPro, at least, was to create some sort of ecosystem of video production.
Yeah, but that's a story to come.
Yep,
I don't
yep,
want
exactly.
to buy a cloud, eyeballs. It reminds me of buying something, vaporware, whatever it was called. So show me the story, I'll buy it. But you're telling me about a story, I'm not going to give you any money.
Good viewpoint. That's pretty solid right there. Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
You mentioned the Baba. I do want to talk to you about Baba here because I'm kind of getting itchy here. I've been looking at putting this thing in my investment portfolio for a while here. It's now down at 86 bucks. We're getting close to the lows there that we set back in October at $83. Should I get it? Should I put a little bit of this, away and not look at it, or what?
I
You
did.
eh?
Yeah, just long calls, long in time. Give yourself time to be right. It's going to be
Yeah.
I believe there's like a bazillion, there's a lockup that is going to push some shares
on.
on for sale. But here's the thing. I mean, the price is now close to the IPO price. So everybody that was so hot to get it at the IPO, they were so sure it's worth that much. Is the pressure from the sale price going to bring in more buyers than sellers? I think it would. I mean, you're thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people thinking about it.
Right. I mean, it's a decent price given the current environment. That if the market's in general correct, yes, it'll be vulnerable, but no more so vulnerable than any other company without the dollars it can bring in on the top line. I mean, it's a behemoth as far as a moneymaker. They just need to work on their public address a little better. Before they went public, they had an interview with Jack Ma, and he sounded so lovable. Everybody was like fell in love with him. And then immediately after the IPO, they talked to him again. He sounded like a completely different person. It was like, where was that guy? Where did that guy go? Bring him back. And then the third time, I think there was somebody from that company that spoke, who was well spoken, but they didn't admit to, oh, okay, yeah, we had a little hiccup. We'll just work through it. All the market wanted to hear is just that. Yeah, there's a little hiccup, but don't worry about it. We'll fix it and move on. Instead, they said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong." So I like it long term. Again, if I go long, I'll do it via calls and give myself time, or buy it and forget about it. It's one of those things that it's worth a gamble, and there's more upside potential than downside risk if the markets hold up. It is at an interesting point, technically speaking.
Yeah.
And I should have shared this chart with you, but anyway, it had a descending channel that started from its high and down So between middle of November or early November until it broke out of that descending channel around, I'm looking at it here, 1216, 1217. And then now, since then, it's been bouncing in a descending channel just a little bit higher on the upper end of that old descending channel. It hasn't broken through, closed through it, except once. So it has a decision to make, but it has some support here now, but also some resistance. So it's range bound. But it only takes just a couple of bumps up to take off running again if the market holds.
And this morning here, we were trading at $1 in the pre-market. I noticed it yesterday was very strong on a weak morning where the market was overall down, but this was actually holding up quite well. I put in a double bottom yesterday. You could say 85.42, 85.47 from the day before, and here we are. We're trading up $1.10 in the pre-market. So there is some initial strength here, at least today.
I like it long term, and I put some calls in for my kid, and I'm going to add some calls in for him as well, because this is a good story. It's close to the lows. It doesn't have a major BABA issue. Like, there's not one issue except for the possible issue that there's fraud. And I said that before. Unless they're absolutely lying, this company should be a buy. So
SF Bright's asking, how far do you go out when you do, if you're doing this long term, you're saying, how far are you going out?
I'll give myself at least a quarter.
Yeah.
Ideally, the 6 months works best, because if you go out for a leap, then the price appreciation of that call is slow. But the good thing about it is that you can sell against it. So if I buy a call that's out in time, I can sell shorter term calls without requiring margin, because there's no open-ended risk because I own the out one.
Right.
Kind of like a call calendar. And every week or every month or every quarter, however you want to be busy with it, you can sell calls to lower your entry point. So by the time that call expires, worthless, then you own that other asset cheaper.
What do you think?
Nick,
go ahead, Dennis.
No, I was going to say one more pick here. We only got about a minute left with you. So, any other pick here for us today here, Nick?
Apple is one of those things that I would like to buy long term, but right now it's too high to short. I mean, too high to go long with conviction, and it's too hot to short. So I'm stuck. I want to be long Apple, kind of like Alibaba, but not now. So I'll wait for it to drop a little bit, if it drops a little bit, and then I'll go long it. Otherwise, it's also a plug your nose and buy it for leaps, because you know that a year from now it's going to be worth a heck of a lot more. I won't chase Twitter a lot. I will book profits on Twitter if I have them. And if you want to buy a lottery ticket in Tesla, that would be a good one. And the market loves it. It's got good momentum. So if the markets hold up, Tesla is a good one into earnings, I think.
Excellent. All right. Well, Nick, thank you very much for coming on this fine Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to Nic Chahine, Marketfy Maven, and author of Create Income with Options Spreads. Nick, we appreciate your outlook, and we're looking forward to talking with you again next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.